Hello and welcome to the session of The Ladder, a love letter to my sister in the pew, number 7. I am doing 18 little teaching sessions on YouTube. These are coming from the book The Ladder, love letter to my sisters in the pew. It's available on Amazon for $9.99. That's the cheapest I could make it. I apologize for the cost. But it is available in paperback. If not, it is 99 cents in the Kindle. If not, hopefully I'm able to share some information with you via this streaming. So anyways, we'll go ahead and get started. This session is called He's Not Responsible for His Behavior, which is pretty common in these situations. So first off, just reading a little bit of my story again. I think part of this I've shared once before, but I'm going to go on a little farther. This was, in case you missed it, but this is a situation where I'd come home from my honeymoon. I've been married for about a week, and he got angry when I said I was going to go for a drive. I wasn't leaving him, but I was leaving, and he said, "Don't never try that," and yelled at me and threw a lamp across the floor. I'm going to continue to read here. Later he apologized. There was never any doubt I would forgive him. He seemed sincere and almost broken. I was determined to have him portrayed as a loving husband. After all, he sincerely wanted to be one. This started a cycle of good and bad times that continued throughout our marriage. At times he was kind, generous, and loving. Other times he was vulnerable, almost childlike. He would put his head on my shoulder and say, "Don't ever leave me, I need you." Then out of the blue, his anger would surface again. Although he blamed me for his angry outbursts, I didn't feel like I was the cause. Afterwards, though, he refused to discuss his behavior and life would return to normal. But I found myself walking on eggshells, holding my breath for when and what would come next, and pretending everything was fine. So that was from 9 and 10, a little bit from my story. Going on to page 23. I really like this quote, just because it kind of addresses the confusion in someone's home when they're in a relationship with someone that's emotionally abusive or verbally abusive and not physically. It's a complicated process. So this is from page 23. Ellie wouldn't have denied her unhappiness. Even her parents saw that, nor would she have denied her confusion over Roger's behavior or the hurt that poured out in her frequent tears over his coldness and his distance he kept. However, the word abuse never entered her mind. He's under stress. I have to be patient, she said to herself. I expect too much. And then she would try still harder to please Roger and fail again and again and again. Having embraced Roger's teaching that she was to blame for the problems, she accepted the fact that she was also responsible for the solution. She wasn't, but she thought she was. And he's blaming her. He's not responsible. Page 31. This is at the bottom. This is from Bancroft, Lundy Bancroft, in his book, Why Does He Do That? Abusers work hard to keep their true selves hidden. Part of how the abuser escapes confronting himself is by convincing you that you are the cause of his behavior, or that you at least share the blame. But abuse is not a product of bad relationship dynamics. Abuse is the problem that lies entirely with the abuser. And this is key to understanding these relationships, is you don't have a marriage problem. You're married to a man that has an abuse problem. And that is, we continue to talk about this in the next couple sessions, but that is why marriage books don't work. But continuing with this theme of that he's not responsible, I'm going to page 67. This is another quote Oh no, this is just some more of that he can do no wrong. He can do no wrong and is therefore blameless. So all wrong behavior that exists anywhere in the world is because of her, as well as others, but he is never to blame. An abuser justifies abusive behavior by blaming his partner for making him act that way and blaming her for any other disappointments that he faces outside the home or others, but he's never to blame. 27, page 27. Oh, this is that other quote. This is by a book, the author's Miller. I've read a couple of these during this time. This book's called No Visible Wounds, Identifying Non-Physical Abuse of Women by Their Men by Mary Susan Miller, which is another good book that I quote in this. Maureen balked at his insistence of having his bowling buddies for dinner every Thursday. No way, was her answer. David turned livid with rage. What did you say? He shouted. Come on, you don't have to yell at me, Maureen attempted to reason. Can't we just talk to one another? I'm talking, said David in anger. The trouble is you're not listening. Maureen turned and walked into the kitchen, unable to hold back tears of hurt and puzzlement, that's a good word, over her husband's sudden metamorphosis. Like all women in the face of unrecognizable abuse, she asked herself, what have I done? Deciding the answer lay in her refusal to please David, she fixed a bowling league dinner every Thursday and made a point of saying yes more often. I talked in this session before about Dr. Dobson's recommendation to fix her, and this is why it just doesn't work. He's going to step up and demand more from her, and in response, she's trying to make it work. So, deciding the answer lay in her refusal to please David. She fixed a bowling league dinner every Thursday and made a point of saying yes more often, trying to keep the peace. That's how we survive. Okay, and that was 27. And then I'm going to read a little quote. This is actually from something called the narcissist prayer. And it's I've got it on page 29. But before I did that, I want to read a little bit on 64. I don't love the word narcissist or abuse or lots of these words that I've had to embrace. But I wanted to go over that term just because it does apply. Narcissistic, having an excessive or erotic interest in oneself or one's physical appearance. And Paul writes in 2 Timothy 3:2 about men like this. For men will be lovers of themselves. And abusive men have self on the throne. So it does apply. So going to 29, I'm reading this narcissist prayer. So it says, first off, so this is his response to blaming. First off, if the incident did happen, he says it didn't happen. So first off, he's going to say, no, that didn't happen. But then if it did happen, it wasn't that bad. And if it was that bad, it's not a big deal. And if it is a big deal, it's not his fault. If it was his fault, he didn't mean it. And last off, well, if he did mean it, then you deserve it. So, he doesn't take responsibility, and unfortunately, in a survival mode, we do. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.